welcome back to another episode of Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate. I'm Kate and I am running solo tonight. So this is episode 36 and I want to thank the sponsor for these past episodes and this upcoming episode as well, American History, owned by Patrick Hill. So thank you, Patrick, for being our sponsor. And tonight, I'm excited to have another female in the industry jump on board with me. And she's got a really good start to 2024, stake season plus overnight horses, top class horses. So I am super excited to welcome aboard Ashley Gamester. So welcome aboard. Thank you for jumping on the podcast tonight. And I'm excited to get to talk to you.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be on here.
Awesome. So let's just dive in. Let's just get the show rolling. I personally don't really know much about you because you're in PEI, I'm in Truro. So tell us how you kind of got into harness racing.
Yeah, so I was really fortunate when I was growing up. I actually lived right next door to my nanny and grampy, and my grampy, Byron Gamester, and my uncle Melvin were always really involved in harness racing. So the running joke in the family is that my first word was horse. The only place that I wanted to be was either in the barn or in the kitchen baking with my nanny. So having, growing up right next door, I spent as much time as I possibly could in the barn. That was the only place that I wanted to be. And then it just kind of progressed. I rode horses when I was younger. And then, yeah, I just kind of got the bug for harness racing. And yeah, I've pretty much always been around it. Yeah.
Awesome. So what gave you the spark to go to your trainers? Because like you said, you've done riding, you've done all that stuff. So you had the bug for riding, but you really wanted to get in the bike for training. So how did you get the spark?
I don't know. Like, I'm kind of the type of person that jumps 2 feet in whenever I get involved in something. So, growing up in the barn, I spent so much time mucking stalls and, doing all like the dirty work and working my way up. And I still remember jogging my first horse. It was Island Spirits, and my uncle Melvin was with me, of course. And just that like thrill of, being behind the horse for the first time. So I really got the bug then. And then in 2009, I started to work for Terry Glant. So I was pretty fortunate when I went to work with Terry. Like, he really took me under his wing and kind of showed me everything. And he really encouraged me to go and get my trainers. He thought that, I was ready at that point, and he wanted to push me to, study and learn that type of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of how that all came together.
That's awesome. So first of all, I do want to congrats on a wicked start to 2024. And you've already got 33,000 in the bank for 2024. So that's awesome. You've got 6 winners on the plate as it is and some stake races. What is it like to have a win with, Tobin's Chester? Like, he a big stake horse that everyone loves to watch because he's always a thrill.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. Chester's always been kind of my boy, looking after him last year and now getting to train him this year. Like, he has the best personality, the biggest personality. He really thinks he's a golden retriever dog. So I get pretty like nervous on race day. He knows his job. He's always has my back. But getting to see him do his thing and come across the wire first, like, I'm just beaming with proudness. I almost want to cry pretty much every time he races because, I mean, there's so much blood, sweat, and tears that go into it too. But I am just, so proud of him and what he's accomplished and hopefully what he'll continue to accomplish.
That's awesome. Yeah, he definitely was awesome to watch in Northside. I definitely have to say that I got to watch firsthand, so that's always exciting. But I totally understand where you're coming from, like the emotion that comes with them, because like we have our filly, and she was my first 2-year-old to jog. She's my first 2-year-old to train. She's like
Yeah.
been the one, and that win just to have is just like it's a thrill, and it's like you never come off that high because you're just so proud of them and proud of yourself for all the hard work that you've put in and you've seen come out of it. So
Yeah, there's definitely times, like, I mean, I put a lot of hours into the barn and that type of thing, and, some days are harder than others, and, you sit back and think like, "Oh, I wish I could go spend a Sunday at the beach," or, "I'm missing out on certain things," but seeing, like, Chester race and come across the wire first, or going to meet any of my horses in the winner circle, like, that moment of proudness and excitement, that is better than any beach day or anything like that, so it makes up for so much.
absolutely. I love that. So tell us about like your first win. Do you remember the horse that you had your first win with?
Yeah. So actually my first one came in 2009, and I'm pretty sure it was with a mare called Tammy's Little Star. And funny thing, I remember it. I wasn't even there for the win. We had qualified a 2-year-old filly that night, and I think Tammy was in the first or second race. So I was taking that filly home actually when Tammy was racing. So I wasn't even there for it, but it was so exciting. Again, just that proudness of something that, you work so hard on all week, and the blood, sweat, and tears that go into it, and seeing all your hard work come to fruition. You're just
Right.
so excited. And then, of course, that first win, you really get the bug then, and you want to get more, and you want bigger and better. And yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's awesome. So I have to ask, of course, you have Good Morning Nova. She raced huge last year and she's even racing big this year. Like what's like her personality like? What is she like at the barn? What is she like on the track? Because she's been a one that a lot of people like to follow along with.
Yeah, I feel like she definitely like has a big following just with her story behind it, or behind her. Yeah, she's pretty cool. She's pretty laid back in the barn. She is definitely a little bit of a mare by times. But I think that that's kind of the sign of a good horse too. Yeah, she's pretty relaxed, laid back. It's so much fun having a horse like her. Like, she was unbelievable last year. So, for her owners to take a risk and, have me be responsible, I'm so thankful for them. And yeah, I'm so honored to, get to walk by her stall every day and say, "Bye, Nova, love you, see you tomorrow," kind of thing. Because she was phenomenal last year, and knock on wood, she's been unbelievable this year. So pretty
Yeah,
fortunate, pretty lucky to have her in our barn.
absolutely. That's awesome. You also have a Peng Shui that has been racing, and I think he's pretty cool. I had a Peng Shui myself, and it's just he's pretty fun to watch because he just looks like he's just out there doing his thing, and then all of a sudden, like you're just like where did it come from? Like where did this speed come from? Like what's he like?
Yeah, so we call him Ricky. His race name, I guess, is I Did It My Shway. So we call him Ricky. He actually has a really cool backstory. He's, has a big spot in my heart. So his mom, stay out of my affair. I looked after her whenever she came here, I think back in 2014. So, stay out of my affair set a track record that year in Fredericton for open mares. Then she came back a couple weeks later and won the open mares final in Summerside. So, she holds a very big spot in my heart. So now to be able to raise her babies and see how similar they are to her and different quirks that they have, like it's really a full circle moment. But Ricky is really cool. He has a big personality too. He is so playful, borderline annoying, but so playful. And he surprised us. He got turned out last year. He just mentally wasn't there. And then this year he's come back, and like you said, he just kind of loafs along, and then the speed just comes. And it's like, I think the more that he gets into it and the more that he realizes that this is his job, the better
Yeah.
he's going to get. So yeah, He's one to
Absolutely.
keep an eye on for sure.
That is for sure. Absolutely. So another horse, I know I didn't put this in our questions or anything, but another horse that I watched last year, and I do believe he's 3 this year, and he's the EL Rocket pacer. Any update on him? I love him because I have a filly that's an EL Rocket pacer. So
Yeah.
it's just close to my heart, and I love that they're the same age, that they're, I just
Yeah.
think it's so cool that we have a filly and a colt within that.
I think it's cool. Like so many people have come up like asking about the breeding. And I mean that all goes back to Donnie McCrae, the owner. Lucky Boo Cam always loved to trot. She was full of the trot. So he just decided, he wanted to breed her to a trotter and see what happened and see what we came with. And I think he was hoping to get a trotter out of it. And we ended up with Hermy, we call him. And he does not trot, he is all pace. So yeah, he unfortunately got hurt this winter. So he is back in training now, and hopefully within maybe another month or so, he'll be back at the races. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting story with him.
I love it because Donnie bred him to
Yeah,
be something, and
yeah,
we did not breed ours to be any, like, we wanted a full sibling to Barefoot Button. No, when we registered it, it was not a Peng Shui. It was an EL Rocket. And I was like, oh no, what do we have here? And
yeah,
we trained her down on the trot because that's all she wanted to do was trot. And then all of
yeah,
a sudden she would put this odd, pace step in. And it was like, hey, maybe it's time we try pacing and see how she goes. And jogging, she's all trot. Put
yeah,
those hobbles on, then she's all pace. So it's so funny how they're so different, but then the so same kind of mannerism. So that's awesome. I love it. I've watched him, and he had so much go last year. I was so excited for this year, and I'm still excited to see him hit the track. So
he
he's one I
definitely has like the biggest heart and the biggest like try. He wants to do it. So I mean, it's always exciting whenever they have that much desire to do it. And yeah, he was pretty useful last year too. He raced really well. He had a couple wins. So, and I don't know, probably your filly and him are the fastest EL rockets going at this point.
yeah, I think that's how it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's so funny. They're the only pacing ones out there right now.
Yeah.
So but yeah, no, it's so funny because when we did the recording with, who was it? Oh, Bill. He said, it's funny, you EL Rocket Pacers are putting the pacing sires to shame. And I'm like, oh God, don't say that. But it's so funny that, yeah, it's that those two really stick out to people because they are, we always called her the tracer. She's the tracer of the barn. But yeah, no, that's awesome. I love it, and I can't wait. So that just makes me more excited to keep tuning into the races.
Yeah.
So you trained a few horses. So has there been a couple horses within your barn besides like stake horses that you really like, you've connected like a really close bond with, and you think that, these are my kind of my faves in the barn, but not real faves type thing?
Yeah, I mean, Chester, obviously, as we spoke earlier, he has a really special place in my heart, but probably another one would be Ace 44 Dawn. So I've looked after her and everything since she came here a couple years ago. And, I just have so much respect for her. Like, she gives it her all every week on the track, and she'll go out and pin her ears and just stick her neck out a little bit farther every week. And again, you can't ask for any more than that when they're out there trying their hardest, and you're working hard all week and you see that come to light. Like, what more can you really ask for?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
she's raising tough, like, males. Like, they're not, like, it's not an
Yeah.
easy class that she's in. So to watch her grind with mostly male horses, it's like, girl, you got power because you've got some guts to be out there too. And and the miles that she puts out. So it's just like she's so fun to watch, that's for sure.
I think my favorite race, probably one of my favorites of all time, but of last year was her on Governor's or on Gold Cup night. Sorry. She had the 8 hole. I think she went off as the longest shot on the board. She moved first up at the half, cleared, and opened up. So, I mean, to win any race on Gold Cup night is like ecstatic. And then to win a race like that, like the Open Mares final, and to do it the way that she did it, like,
Yeah,
yeah, you're so proud. You're basically speechless because what can you say that tops what she just did?
exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it. So do you guys have like, is once she's done racing, do you guys think like the breeding will be within her future kind of thing?
We haven't really talked about it, Donnie and I, very much yet, because I mean, I think we're hoping to get a few more seasons out of her at this point. But I would assume that, yeah, he'll definitely want to take her home and have some babies and see kind of what kind of a mom she could make. And yeah, I would say that that will be in her future.
I had a feeling that that would possibly be in the future, as she's as tough as she is. I can't imagine what her offspring would be, because they would just be just as tough as her.
Yeah, no, she's pretty good. I mean, I am pretty fortunate too. Like, there are so many nice horses in our barn, like Laugh Again Hanover. He races week in, week out. He's such a tough horse. B2B, like, how can you not mention him or leave him out? I mean, you don't really need any explanation there. Sugar Bowl, she was unbelievable last year. She was only 4. Like, what is she hopefully going to do this year? So, it is really hard just to pick like one or two that, you have that bond too, because there are so many good ones there. But those ones are kind of the ones that I'm a little bit more hands on with, looking after them on the daily and getting to groom them. So, yeah,
That's
those are
awesome.
my
So, being hands-on in the harness racing industry as a trainer, um, do you have any mentors? Do you have anybody that you've kind of looked up to or that you still look up to?
Yeah, I mean, I remember being like a kid and like Gilles Barrio was someone that, we would go to the races and my grandfather had horses that were horses, like overnight horses. And you would see Gilles come in with like the best stake horses and everything like perfect to a T. And, he runs such a tight ship. Like, I always admired him. And I laughed to him and with him a couple weeks ago when we were in Truro and I won 2 stake races that day and he drove both of them. And I was joking on the way home. I said it's kind of like a full circle moment because he was always someone that I looked up to because again, he runs such a great show, and such a great stable. So it was really like a full circle moment that day.
That's awesome. And those memories, they last forever, and it just encourages you just to keep going and, push through and
Yeah.
just, yeah, I love it.
I mean, I am pretty lucky. Like right at Red Shores in Charlottetown, there are so many fantastic horsemen there and horsewomen, and there's so many people that I can lean to for advice. And if you're having like a bad day or a certain thing going wrong, like that you can kind of reach out to. And most people are pretty good to give you a hand or give you an opinion anyway, and then go from there. So I am very fortunate for the people that are in my circle.
That's awesome. I've asked this question a few times to other females within the industry, and being one myself and working my way to my trainers, and hopefully in the future or the near future, that will be my goal. That will be what will happen. And so, what do you think, as a female, what do you have to? How am I going to word this? Because Um, like, we are in a male dominant sport. Let's just say it. Like, there's more males that are on track, that are, the trainers. There's more females behind the scene as the grooms. How can we encourage more females to kind of get their trainers, or maybe even go out and start jogging more instead of being that behind the scenes person?
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a tough question. I think maybe like accessibility, like having someone there to be like, "Hey, Caitlin, let's go for a jog," or "You're gonna go jog this horse." You know, if you're fortunate enough to have one that is kind of beginner friendly and quiet enough, and getting those people out for to experience it. Because again, going back to like the first time that I jogged a horse, I still remember that feeling, and I was probably like 7 years old at that time. Um, so it's such an adrenaline rush. So yeah, I think just getting people out there and the exposure and getting them to see like that side of things, then they're going to get the bug maybe a little bit more. And I hope that you, yeah, pursue that your trader's license. Definitely, I mean, we need more women out there, and I don't really pay much attention to like it being a male dominant sport. I just kind of do my own thing, and I'm happy doing what I want to do, so I don't really care. But yeah, I think just the exposure and getting people to have that connection and get that feeling of jogging their horse or training their horse for their first time. So exciting.
Yeah, my goal, I'm hoping by the end of this year that I do have my trainers, and I get that, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But that is my goal. It was my goal when I had my old horse, Prince Adam. He was going to be the one that I go for my trainers, my mile, and everything. He was the one, and then he broke his leg, so I put him down, and it's like, okay. So I kind of came to a halt, but after dealing with Girly for the past 2 years, she's been kind of the one that again now has started to push me and wanting to do it more. So, and then I watch you guys race, you and Amber and everybody over there, and I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to be a female trainer because I love it. I love to jog. And usually I tell Andy when I'm heading to get off work and I say, leave me my filly or leave me a horse. And it's just like, I want to jog. And he's like, all right, go out and jog. You go take the horses out. You do that. So yeah, I get the bug. I get just that excitement, that thrill, just even to go jog. It's
Yeah.
my place where I can get away from life in general. I can just be with the horse and just that's it. That's all that matters. So it's nice to have that.
Yeah, I think like I mean, I was very fortunate growing up. My dad doesn't really believe in the word can't. So there was nothing that I couldn't do. So I've never, anything that I put my mind to. And like I said, I do kind of jump into things full heartedly. So I knew once I really got back into the race side of things that I did want to get my trainer's license. I've actually drove in a couple like matinee races and fun races at Red Shores and stuff, but that definitely was not my forte. So I'll definitely stick to the training side. But yes, I would encourage anyone, like male or female, especially female, if that's what you want to do and that's kind of what lights your fire, then you need to go for it and pursue it. Because, meeting your horse back in the winter circle for the first time when you're down as trainer and all the work and everything that you've put into it, like there's nothing like that.
No, and that's like the same with like owning a horse. Like Andy gave Prince to me for my birthday, and it was like that winter that he was retiring, or that year he was retiring. We had so many ups and downs with him being sick and everything else, and I was like, listen, this is his final year. I was like, I know this horse can pace free leg it. He shows it. He has done it. I'm like, I am determined this thing is going to pace free leg it for me, and I want to win. And that's it. He can retire. He can go do whatever he needs to do. That's all I want to do. And I remember the day because Andy had COVID and he was home, and was like, that's it. Prince is going free leg it. He's gonna go out there and he's gonna do this. And lo and behold, he swooped the field and he was open by lengths. And I'm like standing there stunned because I'm like he didn't just win that free leg. It like, oh my God, all my hard work and everything. And I met Redmond and Prince Zach in the winter circle and I was like, you did it. Oh my God. I was so excited. I was like on cloud nine. And I don't think I ever came off a cloud nine from his win. And I'm like, that's it. That's all I cared for. That's all I wanted. I don't care if I ever get another win out of him or not. That was that was my goal that winter. I wanted to, get him his final win, and it needed to be free legged, and that was it. And it happened. It's just those simple things, but those things keep you going in the industry. Those are the ones that you thrive off of. So
People would laugh at me, and it's come up before about favorite horses and that type of thing. And we had a horse a couple years ago. His name was Willie Brennan, and no one would probably remember him. He was terrible. He didn't race at 2. He raced a little bit at 3, but really struggled. But he was my favorite. He was the first foal at a stay out of my affair. I was there the night he was born. Like, we had the whole connection right from day one. So he was my favorite. So we brought him back at 4. I got to train him down. It was so much fun. And then he went out and won, I think, like 3 races that year when he was 4. So it's almost, every win is sweet, but whenever you kind of get to prove people wrong and get to,
yeah,
you're a determined woman too. So
yeah,
whenever, your idea comes to light, then yeah, that's so exciting.
it is. I absolutely love it. Well, that's pretty much all my questions for. So I want to thank you again for joining me and chatting about the horses, about how you got into harness racing. So thank you again for jumping on, because I know this isn't everybody's forte, like we were saying off camera. So believe me, when someone says yes, that they're willing to jump on and, chat about their life, I love it, because like I said, I'm not in PEI. I don't get to chat with you guys all the time, or people in New Brunswick or Cape Breton. So it's nice to see again the human side of everybody, have some laughs, and enjoy each other. So thank you for jumping on with me.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It was my pleasure. And yeah, thank you again for having me.
Awesome. So that's a wrap for episode 36. And I still can't believe it's 36. Like, that's huge already. And thank you to American History owner Patrick Hill for being a sponsor. And upcoming, and I do believe it's this Thursday, that Bob McClure is going to jump on with Scott and Justin Turnbull over a bunch of his thoughts, ideas, and everything under the sun, I'm sure, with those two chatting. So that's exciting as well. And again, Ashley, thank you for joining me, and good luck in the rest of the season. And I will see you around the track.
Oh, thank you so much. See ya.
See ya.